All right, so I'm here with my client Bree, and we just wrapped up a program. And let's start with this, Bree. Can you kind of tell everyone what symptoms you came into the program with, kind of what you were hoping to improve, and maybe bonus points if you can give us like if there was a one moment that was kind of like really a turning point with your health where you had some episode or some symptoms where you're like, "Hey, I have to do something. Like I can't keep going like this."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, to get us started, my symptoms, I kind of had a very broad range of symptoms going into this. I had gut issues, so I was not regular at all. And it was impacting my daily life. And on top of the gut issues, I had some brain fog, some major fatigue. I had some skin issues, and then some sinus issues that were pretty chronic and also impacting my daily life. And so I got to a point where I wasn't a huge fan of the Western medicine model, didn't really know where to turn. There was so much information out there, so I, again, was a little hesitant to do anything at all. But it got to a point where I was exhausted. I wasn't showing up as myself, let alone my best self. And I knew that I had to make a change. I had to do something. And that's when I actually stumbled upon Dr. Null. And so I had been following you actually for a bit of time before we got connected and started discussing the program itself. And so I feel like I was kind of lurking in the background watching all of your Instagram videos, and I liked what you had to say. So then started the program, and I would say probably at about a month in, I started seeing some of my symptoms improve. And the main one that started improving quite rapidly was my gut issues. So I became pretty regular pretty quickly. I no longer had all of these issues with my stomach that I had had for years and years. So that was the first thing that I saw, and I was very impressed. And then, as I stuck with it, I would say my other symptoms kind of slowly but surely started to improve as well. And I would say I'm like at about 85 or 90%. With my sinus issues, those, I feel like that's going to be a longer journey for me. But as far as everything else, I feel like a completely different person. I was just telling Dr. Null earlier, like I feel lighter, I feel bouncier. I have energy levels that I haven't had in a very long time. I kind of feel like a kid sometimes, which is really great. But yeah, that's kind of like my overview, my story, so to speak.
Awesome, awesome, thanks. Um, all right, did you come pretty much straight from like traditional medicine approaches, or had you tried some different diets or supplements previous to us working together?
So I had never tried supplements. I think I was taking like a D3K2 supplement, and that was it. And I had like looked into certain diets, and gradually I was inching my way into like a healthier lifestyle. Like I was incorporating more fruits and vegetables, and I wasn't, going to Chick-fil-A, and doing fast food. But other than that, I hadn't tried any particular types of diets other than trying to eliminate toxins from my environment, trying to eliminate toxins from my food. So I was eating whole foods, but I was eating the wrong whole foods. And so I was frustrated not seeing the results that I was wanting to see. And it was confusing, right? It's like clean eating, but I was not feeling great with the clean eating that I was doing. And so I was doing that for a while, probably a few years, and just kind of spinning my wheels. Why am I not feeling better? Um, so yeah, that's what I was doing.
Gotcha, gotcha. So we did this at an interesting time of the year, like we
Yeah,
through the holiday season, and
yeah,
I know
it was
you
hard.
you travel, yeah, you You made it through. You did great, but like how doable do you think it is if someone's like motivated to like kind of really change their health? Like, is it possible to do this even through those more trying times?
Yeah, 100%. And it all goes back to, like you said, how motivated is someone? I was highly motivated. I was willing to do kind of really whatever it took because I was at that almost breaking point where I wasn't feeling well and I wanted to do anything that I could to feel well. So yeah, we got started right before the holidays. So I was traveling a ton for the holidays. What I did is I packed a cooler full of, my supplements and the things that I was going to be needing. I did grocery store runs in any location where I was. And I just made sure, I had a blender and things that were available to me. I would research juice places in the areas that I was going to. And that's kind of what I always do now. Like if I know that I'm going to be traveling, like I will search like a fresh juicery near me so that I can get fresh celery juice in the morning when I'm on the go and I'm not at home. And just small things like that. But it's very easy. And once you get the hang of it and once you get used to it, you can't imagine doing anything other than what you're doing now, right? Because once you start to see your symptoms improve, it just makes it all worth it.
Yeah, that's so true. Like once you get a taste of like how good you can feel, it's
Yeah.
almost like you're just naturally drawn back to these protocols. It's crazy, but it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it totally is. And on that note, like not to say that I've like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess I've made like a 180, but like I definitely wasn't struggling with my mental health, but I also just feel so much more happier and energized, and I can't imagine going back.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving the body what it needs will absolutely do that. On on that note, what was kind of like the biggest, like kind of like shocking thing that we did with food, like big picture, that kind of you weren't expecting? Or like what was the most shocking thing? Like, oh, like we're gonna do this? Like, because
Yeah.
it's a different approach, right?
Yeah, I would say phase one, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm still getting my animal proteins and my fats. But then as you move into different phases, I was not expecting the removal of those things. And I was not expecting that once those things were removed, I would start to feel better. So I kind of went in as a skeptic, to be completely honest, and I was like, there's no way. And I grew up eating all of these things, so it was really hard to eliminate them. And so that was definitely the most shocking thing, especially with, and I will ask Dr. Null just like random questions because there's so much information out there, and not all of it is true. So I see a lot of information about like, oh, eat this and you'll feel amazing, or don't eat this because like it's not good for you. And there's a ton of misinformation out there. So I went in thinking like, what am I going to do without my animal protein and my fats? But you end up feeling so much better. So that was the most shocking thing. And then I would say the cleanse that I just did. But I don't think the cleanse was as shocking as just overhauling my entire diet that I was used to.
Yeah, for sure. I'm curious. Are you planning on like staying away from animal protein? Because I still have some animal protein from time to time. Do you feel like you're going to stay away from it fully or TBD?
I think it's a TBD. I think I'm definitely going to dial back. I don't think I'll ever get back to the point to where I was, just because I feel so much better. And so again, I don't want to go backwards, but I definitely will give myself some leeway because it's life. I can't be super rigid with everything. But as far as like the immediate future, I'm going to keep it dialed back as much as I can to see, how much more improvement I can make, especially when it comes to my sinuses. Um, and like you said, Dr. Null, the beauty of this is like you're in the driver's seat, you have the control. So I can choose when or if I want to dial it back and reintroduce animal proteins. So yeah,
That's right. This
TBD.
is all about like showing you the path, and then you get to determine, where you want to, how far you want to take it. And that's a really
Yeah.
cool thing.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Okay, cool.
And that's another thing that I loved about this program is like for me at least, I felt like it was very like self-driven. Like you provided me with the tools, and I'm the kind of person where I just kind of take things and run with them, and I was able to do so. Like it wasn't like a, you know, I've never done any other type of program, but I can imagine there are programs out there where it's like multiple check-ins and like, are you doing this? But it was really like I could go at my own pace and I kind of set the tone, which was great.
Yeah, for sure. Like to me, it has to be like that because everyone's totally different and like
Yeah.
some people are going to be able to like go it and figure things out mostly on their own like you did.
Yeah.
Other people need some more support for sure, but yeah,
Yep.
it's nice to have that flexibility. Um,
Definitely.
okay. One last question. So we've worked together several months.
Yes.
Do you feel like you can now like kind of take what you've learned in this program and like you kind of know what you need to do going
Yeah.
forward?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the program, like the resources that you provided and the videos and the recipe book, those were like my lifelines. That was like my little like raft that I was floating on out at sea. And I would frequently go back to those of like, okay, what do I need to stay away from again? And like, what are these things and what are they doing to my body? But once you learn it just sticks with you. So like I can go out and I can go to a restaurant and I can look at a menu and you teach us how to do that of like this is what you do when you're eating out and like recipe switching and there are certain things that you want to avoid, but here are like really easy swaps. Like for example, I made salad dressings before this, but I was using like rice wine vinegars and all kinds of vinegars, and now I just swap it out for lemon juice. So there are small things like that where it's just like I know them, I'm going to stick with them, and it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it to know what to do and what not to do when it comes to your diet.
Yeah. And a lot of it, you can make some pretty good tasting foods still. Like it's not like
Yeah,
you're suffering through like just eating this miserable food. It's fun.
yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, you crushed it, Bree. Thank you so much for
Thank
hopping on
you.
this interview. I really appreciate it. And you're going to continue to crush it. I have no doubt.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yep.
much. Appreciate you.